Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Doctor Interested webinar series. My name is Aldo Muki, and I am the Executive Director of Doctor Interested. Once again, before we begin, we ask that if you are comfortable, please turn on your cameras. Please remain muted unless you are speaking, and make sure you stay engaged through the chat and by raising your hand. We would also like to acknowledge that this event is being organized in Mississauga, Ontario, which is situated on the traditional and treaty territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This land is home to many Indigenous peoples, and as we gather virtually today, we encourage all of our participants to reflect on the lands which they are joining from and to recognize the enduring presence and contributions of Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island and the greater world. With that, we are delighted to introduce our speaker for today, Muhammad Shamoon. He will be giving us a talk about hormones to careers, exploration of endocrinology, and a little bio of who he is. So he joined Doctor Interested to help students bridge the gap between ambition and direction, whether it's navigating research, understanding medicine, or finding where they fit in this field. He has mentored peers, led academic teams, and worked on multiple research projects, and knows how much of a difference the right guidance can make. Outside of that, he is a medical student at the Al Faisal University, involved in systematic reviews, peer tutoring, and student leadership. He's always up to support anyone who's trying to do something meaningful. Feel free to reach out to him. With that, I will hand it over to him to take over for today's webinar.
So, hi everyone. Wait, Adil, you're gonna share the screen or I should?
I believe I'm already sharing my screen.
Um, is it okay if I share? Because I think I might have made some like
Oh
slight
yeah, no
adjustments.
worries.
So, is the screen visible?
It was, but it stopped being visible right now.
Um, uh,
Okay,
what
yes,
about
it's
now?
visible now. Yes.
Hmm, I don't know why it's okay. You know what? You can share the screen. It's fine.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
There we are. Can everyone see? Okay, let's begin.
So, hi everyone. Good evening. I am Muhammad Shamoon Umerani. I am a fourth year medical student, and today we are going to dive into a field that is absolutely central to human life and health, and that is endocrinology. So, if you are a student, especially one considering a career in medicine or biological science, this presentation should lay out why endocrinology is a field with profound significance, immense challenge, and frankly, a future full of opportunities. And throughout this session, we'll explore the glands, hormones, the common diseases, and the technology that is, rapidly changing how we practice. So let's get started. Um, so to understand the specialty, we first have to, understand the system. And the system which we're going to talk about is the endocrine system. Now, think of the system as a body's wireless communication network. So while the nervous system uses electrical signals for instant short-term communication, the endocrine system uses hormones. for slower but more sustained and widespread effects. It is built around key endocrine organs like the thyroid gland, the adrenal gland, the pituitary gland, and pancreas. And these regulate the critical body functions. They act like widespread factories, synthesizing, secreting hormones directly into the bloodstream. And these hormone mechanisms are what maintain the balance, or what we call homeostasis, in your body. Now, the hormone transmit signals to that tell your body basically when to grow, when to slow down your metabolism, when to use sugar, and when to prepare for a stressful event. And understanding this balance is the core of endocrinology. And when the system goes sideways, everything can be fundamentally altered. And this is why endocrinology offers such diverse and compelling career paths, which we're going to discuss towards the end. Uh, Now, so what would be the formal definition of endocrinology? It is the study of hormones and their functions and or their effects on the body. The field is essentially the study of chemical communication within the body. And now you may ask, why is it so important to understand it? Because the hormones, they influence almost every major biological process you can think of. So growth, metabolism, reproduction, mood, sleep cycles, and basically the overall health. Now, without a solid grasp of how these chemical signals work, you are going to miss a huge part of the picture when it comes to disease, health, and the treatment. And this is what gives us insight into, a vast array of medical conditions, and importantly, provides a clear pathway for effective intervention. Now, the significance of this field is very hard to overstate. It underpins virtually all of the health and wellness, and which is why hormones are really crucial for maintaining health and addressing various medical conditions effectively. Now, moving on, let's zoom in to the core subject, which I've mentioned, hormones. These are the crucial messengers that regulate many bodily functions. They are essential part of our body, and they actually tell the body or the cells like what to do, when to do it. And they do take some time to influence, but they also impact on a lot of things like, growth, mood, uh, other different functions, which we're going to discuss going further. And a simple hormonal balance, or sorry, imbalance, can manifest in so many different ways that, it could be ranging from fatigue, mood changes, weight changes, and to things like, developmental issues. So it's basically a systemic problem. Now, some key hormones, uh, there are like few key hormones in our body, the major ones being the insulin, the thyroid hormone, and the estrogen and testosterone. Now, we'll go over basically the gland or the organ that produces them, and also the key functions of that particular hormone. So starting with insulin, its primary role is to regulate blood sugar levels. It is basically its key, allowing glucose to move into the move from the bloodstream into your cells for energy. Without enough effective insulin, your blood sugar levels are going to skyrocket, and they're going to lead to complications, which I'm sure everyone has heard of, diabetes. Next are the thyroid hormones, and they are basically the master regulators of your body's engine. And they control metabolism, energy levels, and if they're too high, you feel anxious, you lose weight, the blood pressure is gonna increase, and if they're too low, you will feel fatigued and gain weight. And then there are sex hormones like the estrogen and testosterone. And estrogen is crucial for female reproductive health, while testosterone is a key hormone for regulating male growth and development. Moving on to some of the disorders. So, as we've established that, the system breakdown, uh, when the system breaks down these endocrine disorders, here's a quick overview of them. So diabetes, and this is a major public concern affecting how the body handles glucose. It directly affects your blood sugar retention, whether it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes. So in type 1, the insulin production completely stops, so there is no insulin. And in type 2, where the body becomes resistant to insulin, so there is insulin, but it's of no use. Then we have hyperthyroidism. This is characterized by an overproduction of thyroid hormone. So when this hormone increases, your body or the engine runs too fast, and that fast mechanism or the metabolism is going to lead to like weight loss, rapid heartbeat, anxiety. And when the opposite happens, that, there is less production of thyroid hormones, it's going to lead to hypothyroidism, in which their production is going to be low. So, uh, it's going to be weight gain, fatigue, and other health effects. Then there is adrenal insufficiency. Now, the adrenal glands are sitting on top of your kidneys, and they produce few hormones like the cortisol or the aldosterone. And insufficiency basically means that there's a low hormone production from the adrenal gland. And since I mentioned that cortisol is one of the hormones that produce for the adrenals, that hormone is basically also called the stress hormone. So when the adrenal handles stress and sorry, the adrenal handles stress responses and fluid imbalance, and these conditions in adrenal insufficiency can become life-threatening, and they require immediate hormone replacement. Why? Because fluid is basically essential part of the homeostasis, and if it becomes up or down, it's a major problem. And the good news is that, we have effective treatment options now, which typically involve a combination of medications, lifestyle changes. And that's why this field is incredibly rewarding, because, you're often directly replacing or modulating a deficiency, which can have an immediate and dramatic impact on a patient's life. So let's move from the disease to the mechanism. So how exactly a hormone, tells the cell what to do. So there are three critical steps. The first one being the hormone receptor interaction. So hormones are highly specific, so they travel through your bloodstream, but they only work on cells that, they have the right docking station, aka the specific receptor for the hormone. So it's a very specific key. A key that fits to a very specific lock. Then we have signal transduction. So when the hormone binds to the receptor, it's not like it does nothing. It triggers a response inside the cell, and this response could be either asking the cell to start making a new protein, or it could be cell multiplication, or just to stop an action. Then the third mechanism is the feedback mechanism. We are going to discuss feedback mechanism in some detail in the further slides, but basically it's a self-regulating mechanism in which the hormone tells the body itself that it allows the body itself to regulate its production. So let's say negative feedback, which is the most common one. The hormone levels are high. It tells the gland or the organ to stop producing it, and that's how your hormone levels are stable, and this prevents under or overproduction of the hormone. Moving to the hypothalamus. This is we can call this the ultimate command center of your body, because it is right next to the brain. Basically, it is in the brain actually, and it plays a crucial role in regulating hormones and maintaining body homeostasis. You can think of it like a thermostat of the endocrine system. It's physically connected to the pituitary gland, which is also known as the master gland, and we're gonna know why in a second. And the hypothalamus basically dictates what the pituitary gland should do next. So it translates the signals from brain and body needs into hormonal commands. Now, next would be the pituitary gland, which Adil, can you change the slide? Yeah, thank you. So next would be the pituitary gland that sits right next to the hypothalamus. We call it the master gland. And why? Because it's the two reasons. So it's the immediate subordinate for the hypothalamus, and it controls most of the other glands that we've already talked about. So the pituitary gland regulates hormones across the entire body and is crucial for maintaining body functions and overall health. It produces hormones that, tell the, let's say, thyroid how to work, or the adrenals when to release cortisol, and basically regulating the essential functions of our body. So if the pituitary gland fails, you get a systemic hormonal failure. Why? Because it's the master gland. It controls every other gland. Uh, so basically, to sum up, it keeps, every other gland, or basically it keeps the entire endocrine network coordinated. Moving down to the neck, where we find the thyroid gland, it's around this area. As we mentioned earlier, that the thyroid gland plays a crucial role in regulating the metabolism and energy levels in the body. So everything from your body temperature to your heart rate is basically influenced by this gland. So if a patient is struggling with unexplained fatigue, so this is basically a scenario. So if a patient comes to the clinic, and he has unexplained fatigue, or he's noticing weight changes, either weight gain, weight loss, the first place an endocrinologist should look at should be the thyroid gland. And this is and how he's going to look at is basically he's going to take a sample and he's going to send it to the lab, which is going to tell the physician that, the hormones of the thyroid gland are high or low. And this is a perfect example of how lab medicine is the backbone of clinical endocrinology. So moving to the adrenal glands, as I've mentioned, that they sit at top of your kidneys. And these are basically the emergency and stress specialists of the endocrine system. The adrenal gland play a crucial role in our stress response and hormone production for overall health. They produce cortisol and aldosterone. The primary function of cortisol is basically it's the stress hormone, and aldosterone manages the blood pressure and electrolytes, and they also produce sex hormones and adrenaline. Now, let's say you are faced in a dangerous situation, a dangerous situation, sorry, you are in a dangerous situation. The adrenal gland is basically the one who's going to initiate either a flight or a fight response. And when there is chronic stress or severe infection, the adrenal glands are basically pushed to their limit. And few disorders, just to mention, of the adrenal glands would be the Cushing syndrome or the Addison disease. And these are basically really improper hormonal balance, specifically the adrenal hormonal imbalance. And they require deep expertise and careful treatment. Moving to the pancreas. It is a key organ for both our digestive and endocrine systems. From the endocrine perspective, the pancreas is basically a powerhouse. It regulates blood sugar levels by producing insulin, which, as we already discussed, is absolutely crucial for maintaining sugar levels in the body. It also produces glucagon, which basically works in opposition to insulin. So insulin decreases the blood sugar levels, and glucagon is when you need sugar in the body. So it raises the blood sugar levels when required. Now, considering over a quarter of the population has diabetes related issues, the pancreas would arguably be one of the single most important endocrine organs in terms of global health burden. Its function is foundational to the metabolic health of every person. So lastly, the reproductive hormones. We have touched on them briefly, but just to recap about them again. So there are two main ones, estrogen and testosterone. These are the crucial hormones that influence development in both males and females. They drive puberty, uh, fertility, maintain the secondary sexual characteristics, uh, and they can also affect bone health, muscle mass, mood, and also fat distribution. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that we are going to discuss the feedback mechanisms. There are mainly two types. So there's either Adil, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So there are basically two types of feedback mechanisms, and those two regulate basically the overall homeostasis of the body. And homeostasis, because I think I've mentioned it like quite a few times. So basically, it is the body's overall ability to maintain a stable internal environment. Okay, so the two feedback mechanisms are either the positive or the negative, negative being the more common one. So it basically reduces the hormone levels when they are elevated. So let's take an example that, thyroid hormone levels are high. So the pituitary gland, which is the master gland, is going to stop releasing TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, which basically stimulates the thyroid to produce the thyroid hormone. So now when the pituitary stops releasing TSH, it's going to tell the thyroid that, you got to slow down. You got to stop producing the thyroid hormone. And on the other hand, there is positive feedback. This is the mechanism in which there is less of a hormone and it tells the particular gland to, increase the hormone production. Now, moving on to some key statistics on hormone-related disorders. There are two statistics that can we move to the next slide? Thank you. So there are two major statistics that I've mentioned here. Firstly, the 34% of adults are affected by thyroid disorders. That means 1 out of every 3 adults has a thyroid condition, and it could lead to various health complications. The other statistic is that 25% of population has diabetes related issues. And as we know, as I mentioned earlier, that diabetes is a major public health concern. And these numbers clearly show that, hormone related diseases are not rare. It is a pervasive reality. And this highlights that, there's an enormous demand for skilled professionals in this field. Uh, for like right now and for the foreseeable future. Now, moving to the technology in endocrinology, the practice of endocrinology is being rapidly transformed by technology. First is the telemedicine. So basically remote consultations, and they're an absolute game changer, especially for long-term chronic management of these endocrine diseases. They improve patients' access to endocrinologists, particularly in rural or underserved areas, making regular follow-ups much more convenient and easy. Second is wearable technology. So let's say glucose monitors I feel like, are the best examples because they allow continuous monitoring of hormone levels in real time. And this also provides unprecedented level of data and allows for immediate personalized treatment for each patient. Then we have data analytics. So with all the new data that is gathered, now the statisticians can analyze trends in hormone levels, and that could help, develop better treatment plans and suitable for, personalized treatments. Then, so this all allows us to move away from standardized treatment protocols and towards like highly individualized and evidence-based care. So the last topic of this webinar would be the career path in endocrinology. Now, the field of endocrinology offers diverse opportunities. So it's not just about being a physician. There are different roles that you can opt for. That could be in medicine, research, and also education. And this is a really deep, broad specialty, which means that, the path can be tailored to your interests, whether you want to be in the clinic or in the lab or in the classroom. And now we're going to like go over some specific roles. So here are the um four diverse roles I think are like, these are the key roles. So first one being the endocrinologist. So this is a physician's role. You diagnose and treat hormone-related conditions, and this particular is going to require medical school residency, and also to become a good endocrinologist, you would also need some fellowships and specializations. It is quite challenging, but again, it's highly rewarding because you get to treat patients directly and impact their life positively. Then we have research scientists. So if you love complexity of molecules, this role can be for you. So like you can conduct studies on hormonal functions and effects and basically push boundaries for our understanding and discovering new treatments. Then there could be nurse practitioners that can basically, they play a key role in patient care in hormonal health, and they are one of the frontliners managing chronic conditions like diabetes and offering essential education and support. Then there could be lab technicians, clinical lab technicians, and these professionals are really vital because, as I said, that they analyze hormone levels and do particular tests. So they are the ones basically providing the clinical critical data. Uh, let's say the example I gave earlier, the TSH levels. So, or other than that, could be the cortisol levels, let's say, that, the physician like deeply relies on for the diagnosis and management. So let's go to endocrinology. Like, let's take a dive into the endocrinology pathway. So to become like the endocrinologist, it is a long, rigorous, but well-defined journey. So to start, you would need to, in high school, you need to focus on biology and chemistry. And I think this foundation is really like, knowledgeable, and this should not be negotiable. And then following that, you will have to pursue a bachelor's degree, especially if you're in Canada or US, you would need to do a bachelor's degree in science, in a science discipline, so biology or biochemistry. And then you would get into medical school. And after medical school, you complete an internal medicine or pediatrics residency. And finally, you get into a highly specialized training through a fellowship in endocrinology. So again, it is a significant commitment, but it's a direct path to a specialty that offers intellectual challenge, diverse career options, and a true impact on patients' lives. So that brings us to the end. Thank you very much for listening. Just to sum up that, we've covered like the core glands, the mechanism of hormones, the main diseases, the impact of technology, and the career paths that are open to you. So I hope that, I've provided a clear and compelling look to why endocrinology is one of the most intellectually stimulating and essential fields in modern medicine. So yeah, I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
Yep. Thank you so much. That was really amazing. I am, before the meeting ends, gonna put the attendance form into the chat. So if everyone doesn't mind just filling out the attendance from there. Um, and then I will just feel free to put your questions in the chat or to raise your hand to ask questions. Okay, here's one. They're asking, what would you specifically do as a researcher in endocrinology?
So, as a researcher in endocrinology, you can conduct researches related to like, different conditions that we mentioned, like diabetes, the thyroid disorders, endocrine disorders, and study the impact of like different hormones, particularly to develop. It's going to be like a randomized control type of research, basically, so that you can, have an understanding of the treatment options, particularly to develop new treatment options. So I think that would be like, a role for the research area.
Okay. And then someone else is asking, do you think there are any roles that would be related to like biomedicine in endocrinology? Or
Biomedicine,
biotechnology. Sorry, I misread that.
um, bi
Biotechnology.
biotechnology would be again related to the chemistry and the fundamentals, the basics, like of the hormones, the disease understanding and working towards that would be the biotechnology side, like developing new treatments or procedures for patients who are suffering from these sort of disorders.
Okay. The next question is, do you have to do residency after med school to become an endocrinologist?
Yes, you would have to do a residency in like a broad field like internal medicine, and then there could be specialization uh, towards a specific role, let's say like endocrinology.
Okay. Someone else is asking about what you said about thyroid. You said that it happens to 1 in 3 people, and diabetes is 1 in every 4 people. So why is the thyroid not talked about more often, in your opinion?
I think thyroid because to be honest, I don't exactly know, but I feel like that, it might be because thyroid disorders are kind of something that, uh, that can be discussed well with a doctor. But diabetes is basically, and thyroid, the major treatments are like surgery or different medications. Well, whereas in diabetes, there are like common things like basically lifestyle management. So people can discuss around that, yeah, doctor asked me to lose weight, eat less sugar. But on the other hand, for thyroid, it's like medications. So I mean, I don't think there's like, much talking about the medications. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Someone else is asking, do you learn physics in university for this career path?
It depends on the medical school or the bachelor degrees requirements, but I think the main two subjects that you would need to take would be biology and chemistry.
Okay. I have a few more questions, but I'm gonna ask the people that haven't gotten answered to put it in the Discord space, and it can be answered there. A reminder to fill out the attendance. It is in the chat. I will put it in there again. The form will close before the recording is posted, so in about 60 minutes. And you can leave your questions in the Discord space, and Muhammad Shamoon will try his best to get to them. And after you fill out the attendance, you guys are free to go. Thank you all for coming, and a big thank you to Muhammad for this amazing webinar.
Thank you. Thank you.